Once upon a time, in a forgotten corner of the world, there was a forest known by few and visited by even fewer. This forest, called the Forest of Living Shadows, was surrounded by legends and mysteries that stretched back to time immemorial. It was said that those who ventured into its depths never returned, or if they did, they came back forever changed. The forest was a place of unsettling beauty. Trees as tall as towers rose toward the sky, their twisted branches resembling skeletal hands trying to grasp at intruders. Sunlight rarely penetrated the dense canopy, and when it did, it cast shadows that seemed to take on lives of their own. Birds did not sing in the Forest of Living Shadows, but sometimes the wind carried whispers that sounded like voices from another world. In a small village at the edge of the forest lived a young woman named Lila. Despite the warnings of the elders and the terrifying tales her grandmother told her, Lila had always felt an inexplicable attraction to the forest. There was something about that place that called to her, a soft voice that only she seemed to hear. It was a sad and beautiful melody at once, filling her heart with curiosity and a tinge of sorrow. One night, unable to resist the call any longer, Lila decided to enter the forest. With a lantern in hand and her heart pounding, she walked into the darkness. As she ventured deeper, the light from her lantern seemed to grow weaker, as if the forest's darkness was devouring it. Yet Lila did not feel fear, but rather a strange sense of belonging, as if she were returning to a place that had always been a part of her. As she delved further into the forest, the shadows around her began to move. They weren't mere reflections of the light. They were creatures, beings that lived in the forest and were now watching her with gleaming eyes. Lila did not flee. Instead, she stopped and spoke to them as if she knew exactly what to say. "I am Lila," she said aloud. "I've come because I've heard your call." The shadows drew closer to her, surrounding her, but not with hostility. They were curious, as if testing her courage, then a figure emerged from the trees. It was a tall, slender woman with pale skin that glowed like the moon and eyes as deep as the abyss. Her hair, long and black, mingled with the shadows that surrounded her. "I am the Queen of Shadows," the woman said, her voice resonating like a distant echo. "I have been waiting for you, Lila." Lila, without fully understanding, felt an immediate connection to the Queen. It was as if, in some way, she had always known this encounter was inevitable. "Why did you call me?" Lila asked, sensing that the answer would change her life forever. The Queen of Shadows smiled sadly. "Because this forest and all who dwell within it are trapped between two worlds. We are prisoners of an ancient spell, cast by a jealous witch millennia ago. We need someone pure of heart to set us free." Lila, feeling an undeniable sense of duty, nodded. "What must I do?" The Queen extended a hand to her. "You must confront the witch in her lair deep within the forest. If you manage to defeat her, the spell will break and the forest will be free, but if you fail, you will become a shadow like us forever." Without hesitation, Lila took the Queen's hand. Together they walked toward the heart of the forest, where the darkness was thickest and the air was heavy with ancient magic. Along the way, the shadows guided her, revealing hidden paths and forgotten secrets. Finally, they reached a clearing where the witch's lair stood. It was a desolate place with dead trees and an eerie silence. In the center, a dark and twisted cabin loomed, radiating malevolent energy. Lila entered alone, her heart steady and her mind clear. Inside, the witch awaited her, an ancient and wicked figure with fiery eyes and a cruel smile. The battle that followed was fierce. The witch cast dark spells, but Lila, guided by the love she felt for the forest and its inhabitants, found the strength to resist. Finally, with a last burst of effort, Lila defeated the witch, breaking the spell that had imprisoned the forest for so long. With a cry of fury, the witch dissolved into dust, and at that moment, the darkness of the forest began to lift. The Forest of Living Shadows transformed. The trees came back to life, the shadows dissipated, and sunlight flooded the place for the first time in centuries. The beings that had once been shadows revealed themselves as creatures of light, grateful for the freedom Lila had granted them. But Lila did not return to the village. She knew her place was now in the forest as its new guardian. The Queen of Shadows, now transformed into the Queen of Light, bestowed a gift upon her, immortality, so that she could protect the forest and its inhabitants forever. And so, Lila became the guardian of the Forest of Living Shadows, which from then on was known as the Forest of Eternal Light. Under her care, the forest flourished, and the tales of terror were replaced by legends of hope and rebirth. And though the villagers rarely saw Lila, they knew she was there, watching over them and her beloved forest in a place where magic, light, and shadows coexisted in harmony.